Hi folks, today I'd like to talk about going a little bit more, drilling a little bit deeper into business cards, and specifically taglines and headlines. And before we talk a little bit about taglines and headlines, and what I'd like you to do is don't rush to get your business cards made. Instead, you want to really perfect your tagline and your headline. Remember, the headline tells people what you do. The tagline amplifies that. And so when you're talking to someone and you hand them a business card, you want them to take a look at your business card, and you want to have the headline above your name, and the headline should capture their interest. It should make them say, what's that? And the tagline should amplify that so that people say, wow, I'd like to know more. Now, I have this weakness. I think that everything that I write is genius. And so I have a very poor self-critique mechanism. So it's really hard for me to take a look at something and say, that's crap. Instead, what I can do is I can go ahead and write down some of these ideas and ask people, what does this say to you? And so if you'd really like to have a good business card, think about getting some index cards and write down just sort of an outline of what your business card is going to look like. Have the headline up on top, your name, and a tagline underneath, and your contact information underneath there. But the first thing you want to do is you want to be worried about the headline. What benefit, what service do you provide that's unique and unusual? And how can you amplify that in the tagline? So that when someone looks at your card, they say, wow, this is what you do? I could use your services. You could help me. That's what you want them to say. And so what I would do is I would work at this. And when you're coming up with a concept for a headline or a tagline, always remember A/B testing. If you're not familiar with A/B testing, let me go ahead and explain what that is. You don't have to come up with something that is 180 degrees different than what you had before. All you have to do is you have to tweak something, and when you're tweaking this, you might say a sentence, and then you might change one word. You might have one of these cards that has the sentence one way, and one of the cards has a sentence with just one word changed. And so you can always be tweaking, and you can micro tweak, and so you can go ahead and always be saying, how can I tweak this so it's just a little bit better? And as you start doing that, sometimes one word, just one word, will make a difference, and it will change the perception that people have. Jay Abraham, the marketing guru, was telling the story about how he was working with a rare metals company, precious metals company, and they were doing coins. And he said, what do you do that's really sort of unique? And the person looked at him and says, well, we do two-thirds financing. He says, well, what does that mean? If you put up $1, we'll go ahead and finance $2. Okay. Well, the way they had it articulated, it wasn't clear. So Jay went to work on this, and he worked on it for about 2 hours, and he finally came up with a logo, with a slogan, with a headline that articulated exactly what the benefit was. And before they made this change, they were doing about $200,000 a month in volume. Just making that slight little change, not changing any of their business practices or any of the business procedures at all. It went from $200,000 a month to over $200 million a month. And it changed that business forever, because suddenly they started getting people that they didn't know how to go ahead and get into it, because there wasn't really an advantage that was articulated. And so once they started getting into it, they started buying more. And once they started buying more, they became they became more interested in this, and they started buying more, and they started buying more. And those people that would buy a little bit, he went ahead and looked at the breakdown, and some of those people went on to buy 5 times the amount as other people. Some of those people, the top 10%, they bought 20 times as much as the bottom 10%, and just went on and on. But the point was that just making a little change articulated the benefit that the buyers would receive so much that they went out and they started buying. And he did an entire risk reversal so that they had absolutely no risk to buy this. And when they do a risk reversal, you can really amp up exponentially your profits. So sometimes just one word, just one little 3, 4, 5, 6 word sentence can make such a huge difference. That's when you start having the exponential growth, and that's when you start to have the sheer profit. But what you want to do is don't hurry through this. Take your time. Ask other people that you trust, that have good discernment. Tell me what this means to you. And have them take a look at each one, and not just flip through them, but look at each one and say, tell me what this means to you, and articulate it in your own words. And as they start going through this, they start seeing this, then you start saying, okay, which of these 20, what were your top 5 and why? And you start to develop a better feel for what moves people, because your own opinion, as wonderful as it might be, is going to be colored by the fact that it's your idea. So find someone else, have just a little bit of testing, and find out exactly which one works the best. And when you do that, you can have exponentially larger amounts of sales and exponentially larger amounts of profit.